Folks, it's Spitz with Pixels and Pills from Digital Pharma East in Philadelphia 2012. It's my pleasure to have Terry Nugent, not Ted, of EVP of MMS Systems. They're an email deployment house. And the one thing that I find striking, Terry, is that you read all these statistics now from eMarketer and other sources. And email, despite all the changes within social, within mobile, all the media fragmentation that's going out there, email remains a viable and lucrative channel for reaching out to healthcare audiences. How do you explain that, and what kind of things are you doing right now to get the most out of that channel?
Well, I think the explanation is fairly simple because email is still a ubiquitous channel, and it's what we call the workhorse of pharma marketing. You know, almost every doctor at this point has an email address. Doctors know how to use email. Right. They may not know how to use Reddit or Who's It or whatever it is, but they know how to check their email, and they do check their email because they may get an email from their boss, they may get an email from their colleague, so they're looking in their email box every day, and that's what we see in the results from all our email deployments on behalf of pharma and other verticals. It's a medium that works, and we don't see anything on the horizon that's going to replace email anytime soon. You know, the USPS was in business from the time of Benjamin Franklin up until very recently, and they're still in business, of course, and then email came along and challenged them. But we may be looking at another century or two of email, as far as I can tell at this point, because I don't see the next workhorse medium that's going to come along and knock it off the block.
Absolutely. It's ironic. Email seems to have started the digital revolution, and it continues to flourish. Given the fact that there's such a high level of engagement within email right now, what kind of things are you guys doing at MMS to bring it up to speed? The old emails used to be just textual based. They couldn't have any embedded imagery, video, other kind of files. How are you taking advantage of the changes within digital to brighten email up?
Well, we're taking a look at a number of things, and one of it is responsive email, in the sense that we've got a lot of platforms now. Everybody talks a lot about the third screen, and 80% of physicians have smartphones. So we're looking at technology that can resize an email to the appropriate screen. So that's one of the things we're doing. The other thing we're doing is encouraging pharmaceutical clients not so much to embed a video in an email, but have a link to a video, so that there's a good reason for the doctor to open the email. If you've got a key opinion leader, if you've got a thought leader, if you've got a webinar, if you've got some kind of a training program that can be done with video online, we analyze the results of emails. We take a year's worth of email and analyze the top performers versus the bottom. And the top performers are the ones that really add value, that offer something. Key opinion leaders, some doctor everybody knows, doing a 5 or 10 minute video on a disease state or a new therapeutic application of a drug. Those are the ones that are really winners, and we're trying to push our clients to move in that direction.
Absolutely. And speaking of metrics and analytics, how do you take some of those insights that you mine and convert them into best practices? If you could share with our audience some of those best practices in terms of subject lines, ways that you can overcome spam filters and the like, I'm sure that they would be curious.
Well, it's funny you should ask, because we've done a presentation at exhibits like this, at conferences like this, where we've done exactly that. And it's a lot about the from line. You know, if you've got a great company brand name, you should be leveraging that. The subject line has to be short and sweet and meaningful and compelling, and it's a big copywriting challenge. Let's face it, it's easier said than done. You know, in Twitter you have 144 characters. That's like War and Peace compared to the subject line of an email. Right. So the best subject lines we've seen are 3 little words. XYZ company announces ABC product. Something like that. Something new, something compelling, something that's news. And if you don't have a new product, of course, you have to manufacture some news. So we've got a new video on the mechanism of action of this product, or we've got a new study. Doctors love data. In terms of the body of the email, the creative, keep it short, make the call to action very clear, and make it compelling. Make it something that's worth the doctor's time. So that's it in a nutshell.
Absolutely. It seems like being very tactful, being very direct. To your point, we're in the Twitter age where 140 characters is about all the time that you've got. And folks, because of media fragmentation, because of the multiple devices they're using, their attention spans are obviously plummeting to the point where it's click and go. And I'm assuming the same rules apply for email. The
rule that applies to email is the 3-second rule. You've got 3 seconds before you get deleted. And you have to get their attention, you have to compel them, and of course doctors are selling their time. So anytime you want to steal their time, you better have a good reason to do it. And the other thing about email that I'd mentioned, I mentioned a number of other things like Twitter and social media, etc. And doctors aren't all that huge adopters of these consumer social media, but everything that we hear about at this show, you have to drive traffic to it. You've got a great website, you've got a great video, you've got great content, you've got a great social network, you've got to drive traffic to it. If you build it, they won't come. Email is the way that you drive traffic to whatever shiny new toy comes along.
Absolutely, and that brings up a great point about the power of email as a connector between these different and oftentimes divergent channels of communication. Email being that initial touch point, and then you're driving that traffic and you're kind of propelling them through the trajectory. What kind of things do you advocate in terms of cross-linking to social networks, cross-linking to brand.coms or content? Where ultimately do you take folks, and what kind of conversions are you looking for?
Well, I've seen, this isn't original, but I've seen people say that email is the original social media. And if you look at Facebook, for example, how do you know that somebody updated their wall? You get an email from Facebook, right? So I think that says that, in a sense, email is a social medium. But one of the things we advocate to our clients is share to social. You put chiclets or links or what have you, you can tweet this. Now you've gone viral. You may want to take the content that you've done in your email and also post it out to Twitter. So there's a number of ways to cross-fertilize and cross-pollinate those different social media, but I would probably argue that email is a social media.
Right, and just like RSS feeds, some of the most basic things are getting the best conversions in mobile health. It sounds like email, being the core of basically communication in digital, continues to be vibrant and viable in the space. Any hint of the future? How will email evolve, let's say, in the next 2 to 5 years in ways our audience might be interested in?
Well, I think the way that I hope it will evolve is on the content side. The technology, it's always an arms race between the filters, et cetera, to make sure you get in the right inbox. But what we're trying to inspire our clients to do is deliver engaging content. Don't just put your central visual aid and program it into HTML. Come up with a compelling offer. Come up with a webinar. Come up with a video. Come up with a study that you can link to. And give the doctors something that makes them want to click. Because the future of deliverability is engagement. So I think instead of looking at just open rates, which I think pharma traditionally has done, we have to start looking at click-through rates. And we have to think, what can we really offer these doctors that will be a value added for them? And as we move into the new healthcare reform age, I think there's a lot of value that pharma can add in terms of compliance and patient education and a lot of things that can contribute to the overall goal of the direction the health system's going in.
Terrific. Terry Nugent, folks, talking about the basics, talking about getting the most out of email engagement now and in the future. EVP of MMS, this is Spitz from Digital Pharma East in Philly, 2012, signing out. Thank you.